what happened was that in my constituency, it became an epic center of electoral violence. Violence is an understatement. It became a bloodbath, outright killing and massacre of innocent civilians by a partisan security force. So there was a build-up to violence throughout, but we never knew to come to that. On the polling day, we were blocked from accessing even some polling stations, even placing their agents. They literally targeted very rural, because it's a bit rural constituency, but they're very rural. That's what happened. Left a small window around urban centers. To their surprise, especially in my case, even when they left a small window, the outcome of the elections indicated where that had won. And by 2:30 there, we had managed to collect all the DRA forms amidst extreme violence, amidst a lot of intimidation. And at my home, there were polling agents that were returning DRA forms, declaration forms of results, because my home acted as a tally center for both presidential elections of my candidate and parliamentary results. So you would expect in an area where you have 160 polling stations, 67, almost 170, times 3, 2 returning as polling agents, because that's where they took off, that's where they came back from, 2. You'd expect near above 1,000 people. And then there was a mood within the constituency that we had won, so people were moving to home to celebrate, to be part of the sweet victory. So at 3, as we were about to set off and go to the Electoral Commission, we had a stampede outside. This time I was around. I'm not a journalist reporting a narration of what happened. I'm an eyewitness. So I was at home, but inside the house. Inside the house we had the tally room where we were tallying. That's where I was. So we had a stampede followed up by unprecedented gunfire. I mean, they were using not the ordinary weapons, but weapons exclusively reserved for armed combat. But 3, in the darkness, in a home where there are 1,000 people plus, and because it was home, and cars were returning, we had about 20 cars in the compound. So with people inside. So there are people who witnessed what happened. So soldiers combined with the police and commanded by the deputy RDC descended to my home and began to hit the doors so that we can open. And they were asking where I am. And there were people who were, I think because it was 3, who were a little bit asleep in the compound. So, and when the gunfire started, they ran inside, using the door of the garage to access the house. And they closed it. So when they failed to break through the main door, front door, they went and tried to access, I think to come and snatch me from the house using that door. They found the 1-inch had closed it, and they began to fire at that garage door. And firing within the range, that literally leads to murder, manslaughter, a massacre. So the people inside were like, because somebody was very deliberate, he had this big gun, okay, the one with the cabox. So he took a position somewhere and began to fire at the garage. And because people were dying, they eventually opened, and bodies were falling over. Our count is that 10, for them they're saying 7. With the pool of blood. That's when it, I think that's when they little bit, it gave them a little bit of a setback in their pursuit of trying to come and find me. I think I was a target for assassination, or for killing. Assassination is even an understatement. Outright killing. And realizing that they had killed so many and they were in the world of shame, they now made another round of firing. I think that was to scare anybody who could be around or could witness what they were about to do now. So they began to pick the dead one by one and putting them onto a truck. So they picked, and people in the car were counting. What should tell you that this was outright murder of innocent civilian? I attended 6 burials. 5 of them were women, and not young girls. Women married with children, with a family, because that's the kind of support we enjoyed. And they're all buried around the town council, Chibibi, Gombe, Bulo, nearby area. So it tells you that contrary to the propaganda I've heard by the state, machination, and what I heard the president really speaking from a very uninformed position, that we attacked a police station. Is there a police station that is open at 3? Was there a police station at my home? Was there a police station at the garage? And even if you go there, the bullet wounds, you can even count the bullet wounds, the bullet holes, and count them, and count the number of dead. So each bullet killed a person. But how do you do that? So this was outright. So they collected the bodies and took them to Gombe Hospital. Even there, I have eyewitnesses, because some of the staff, I don't want to reveal them, they know what happened. They did the count. So thereafter, they even feared that by morning, dawn, if these bodies are, because Gombe Hospital is like a kilometer away from home, then there will be a communal gathering around the hospital. So by, I think, 5:30, they still packed them and dumped them in Mulago, where I used my ambulance and facilities to pick these dead bodies after post-mortem and take them, give them a decent burial.
Before Mulago, where were you during that time of killing? And
I was home.
The house?
No, they tried to break through the main door and shattered all the doors, but they failed because it had a burglar proof and high-end quality padlocks, so it became a bit difficult. So that's why they tried to use the garage entry, and that's why they killed people. All the people were killed in one car spot at the garage, and in the morning you could see a pool of blood, and so they even tried to clean it, away, bring water. I mean, you could say kind of conspiracy and kind of guilt that these people had, and they were trying to do a cover up. I think in their mind they were like, we could cover this up and walk away with it. But it was so brutal. And you don't expect women above 35 to participate in that kind of if there's any violence. So when I had the president give an account, then I knew this country is in big trouble. Because if some elements can succeed in misinforming the head of state, who is the number one consumer of intelligence, and goes out of the way to address clergymen and kind of present a pack of lies. If it's deliberate on his part, it's very regrettable. If he is misinformed, then he's losing control. Then he's completely losing control. Either way, it speaks to some, and I've heard, like the information I had, ridiculous as it is, they're trying to turn the table and accuse me of murder and terrorism. Can you believe how insane people can go in the pursuit of bad motive? All the indications that they want to arrest me and put a terrorism charge and a murder charge. When you kill people, and when you go home and you can see the bullet inside my house, it will be the most ridiculous thing people will ever think. And you can imagine there are some who will believe it. It's inconceivable. It's inconceivable that one would want to pursue that.
Lino sasi lino lyalemedde mu kisenge lino sasi wataligamba mbu nno baakubyewo musumaali.
I'm trying to take care of the sick, of the injured. I have people in hospital whom I'm still treating and saving lives. A little bit expensive though. I've tried to come. I ensured that each one of them got a decent burial. I have taken steps to speak to their families. It's difficult to speak to husbands who are identifying their women, their wives by the clothes that was left there, and say, this is the one she came with, so my wife is dead. Or I saw children who identified that their father should be one of the victims by picking up shoes in the heap of shoes that was left. Then comforting. I must thank the community for their understanding. I've not seen any of them putting an accusing finger on me or a blame. It's only government that has that courage and audacity in this circumstance to make the victim to become the accused, the offender. A victim of murder in somebody's home is the one you want to say, you did a terrorist act. You murdered people. You kill and you say murder. That's how brave the situation that I'm dealing with. And I'm here. That's why you found me home. I'm not going into hiding. I'm not relocating. Because if I'm as innocent as I am, if I'm a victim of both electoral fraud, electoral violence, and massacre, human massacre by the state. All these orchestrated by the state. And you want to turn around and say, I'm a victim. I did not commit a crime to be who I am, okay? And to have a kind of following that I have, and to pursue the things that I pursued over time. So it cannot become a challenge at this moment. It can't become now a terrorist act, but we shall overcome.